This is the story of two girls who are kidnapped by some bad boys and raped repeatedly after being held captive. But these two do not give up, and how they take revenge from all those boys one by one, we will see in this whole story. So, hello friends, my name is Ishita, and in the beginning of this story, we see two beautiful girls, Katie and Nancy, who are agriculture students, and now they were going to a farm in New York for further studies. So both were very happy and both talked among themselves that on this pretext we will also visit Europe and will also do a lot of shopping there. Now the next morning their uncle Jason, who is an FBI agent, comes to pick them up. After that, when both of them go to Jason's house, they meet Jason's girlfriend there, who is very happy to see them. Now after coming to the city, Katie and Nancy think of changing their names too, where Katie changes her name. The name is Hader and Nancy is Ripley. Next day Jason brings them to the bus stop because Katie and Nancy had to go to an agricultural farm for studies. Here Jason starts waiting for the bus going to New York with both of them, but Katie tells Jason that the bus will arrive here in a short while. You should leave for your work. We will message you as soon as we reach. On this, Jason tells them to use a code word so that I will understand that both of you have reached safely. After this, Katie says that I will use the word apple, but Jason says that you should use different alphabets every time so that no one can understand your code word. Now here two boys passing by the road see Katie and Nancy. Then Jason also leaves from there for his work, and after his departure Katie and Nancy go to a nearby restaurant to have coffee where those boys also come who were trying to catch them. They were passing by a while ago. Their names are Jade and Lucas. Both of them start talking to Katie and Nancy, to which Katie and Nancy tell them their names as Heather and Ripley. Katie tells them that they are going to New York for agricultural farm study. Jade says that they are also going there, and if you both want to come, you can come. But Katie refuses to go with them. But when they both are getting up and leaving, Nancy convinces Katie to go with them. And both of them go with them. But here we see that Jade and Lucas take them to their home instead of the farm, which is very close to the forest. Seeing this, Katie and Nancy get a little scared and ask them to take the car towards the farm immediately. But then Jade and Lucas's mom comes from the house, who asks them to have tea very lovingly and also tells them that Jade and Lucas will go home later. I will leave you both. When both of them are drinking tea, Katie gets a message from her uncle Jason, to which Katie replies by writing apple in the code word, which makes Jason understand that both of them have reached safely farm. Now Lucas's mother gives them something to eat, which Katie and Nesius eat and find that the food was mixed with drugs, and both of them understand that something wrong is being done to them, after which both of them try to run away from there. But after going a little distance, they faint, after which Zed and Lucas come and pick them up and bring them back to their house. Now the next day when they regain consciousness, they both find themselves in a forest and their hands were tied with iron chains. Seeing this, both get very scared and start shouting for help. Then Zed comes there and tells them that they are at a place in the forest where no human is being anywhere near. So there is no use of your shouting. Now after some time a man named Boris comes there who shows Katie her phone and says that a man named Jason has sent a message on your phone to whom you had sent the message by writing apple in the last message. He starts asking both of them the meaning of this, to which Katie says that apple is a code word which means that both of us are safe. After this, Boris replies to Jason that everything is fine and also writes the code word apple. After this, those people force Katie and Nancy to take a bath in front of them. When a police officer named Sharif comes there, seeing him, Katie and Nancy start asking him for help, but after some time, they come to know that the police officer is also in cahoots with Zed and Lucas. Try to convince those people, please let us go from here. We will not tell anyone anything, and if you want, we will give you lots of money also, but he does not listen to any of their words. After this, we see the policeman take a Viagra tablet and choose Katie for himself. After this, we see the police officer coming out of Katie's container, which tells us that he has raped Katie. On the other hand, we see Jason, who is very worried about Katie and Nancy because Katie had used apple word again in the message. They send a crazy and drug-addicted man to Nancy's container, who goes inside and puts a burning cigarette on Nancy's stomach. She starts screaming loudly, and then he rapes Nancy. Here, All these people had crossed all limits of brutality. Actually, these people were forcing Katie and Nancy to do prostitution. Jason calls the New York agriculture farm to find out about Katie and Nancy, and he finds out that both of them have not come there even once. Jason understands that both of them are in some big trouble, so he immediately goes to find them. On the other hand, things are getting even worse for Katie and Nancy because before the next customer comes, Zed and Lucas put masks on the faces of both girls, and that customer also wears a mask with a pig on it. After this, Zed and Lucas remove the marks from Katie and Nancy's faces and show their faces to the customer. Upon seeing the man with the pig mask, both girls get even more scared and start screaming loudly. After which that man picks up Nancy and takes her to the container and rapes her. After his departure, when Katie goes to Nancy, she sees that Nancy's condition has become very bad. On the other hand, Jason reaches the police station and meets a police officer. This is the same police officer who raped Katie. Jason tells him about Katie and Nancy's kidnapping and says that he is also an FBI agent. The police officer asks Jason how he knows that both of them are kidnapped. Jason explains that he had asked his niece Katie to use the code word only once, but Katie has used the same code word again, which makes him feel that she is in a lot of trouble and maybe she has been kidnapped. In the same jungle. This police officer gives all the information to Boris that Katie's uncle is an FBI agent and that Katie gave them wrong information about that code word. Now Boris goes there and takes Jet a little away from Katie's container to talk to him about how these two girls have to be killed as soon as possible. Otherwise, they can get into trouble, and they have to catch more new girls coming from the city. Meanwhile, Katie stands near her container and stealthily listens to all their conversation. After this, Boris goes to Katie's container and forces himself on her. On the other hand, Jason also reaches the same restaurant where Katie and Nancy met those two boys and asks a man working there about Katie and Nancy. The man tells him about Boris's car. The next day, Katie tells Nancy that these people are planning to kill us. Then Jade and Boris bring back the same drunkard who had forced himself on Katie and tell him that they will be back soon. Until then, he should keep a close eye on both girls so they don't run away. As soon as they leave from there, Katie starts attracting the drunkard towards herself and provokes him to get intimate with her. While doing this, as soon as she goes close to the drunkard, she bites him hard on his neck. Blood starts flowing from his neck, and he dies at that moment. After this, both of them open their handcuffs and hide there. When the policeman arrives, both of them secretly take his car and run away. After this, both of them go to a mall and buy a lot of strange things like hammers, axes, tennis balls, nails, and many dangerous weapons. After this, they go to the cashier of the mall and ask him for Boris's address. He tells them Boris's address. Jason reaches Boris's car insurance company where he gets Boris's home address. We see that Boris is enjoying at his home by playing music. Then Katie and Nancy come there and put a lot of nails on a tennis ball and hit him in the face with it, due to which he becomes unconscious. After that, as soon as he regains consciousness, he finds himself tied to a table. Boris offers them a lot of money to leave him. However, Katie and Nancy only want their revenge. Their uncle Jason has also reached outside Boris's house. Inside the house, Katie and Nancy ask Boris, tells them the address. After this, both of them put a baseball bat filled with nails in his back, causing him to scream loudly. Hearing this sound, Jason quickly comes inside the house and sees that Boris is lying dead. He then hears the sound of a car behind the house, but by the time he goes out, Katie and Nancy have left in the car. Jason quickly returns to the police station and starts asking the police officer again about Katie and Nancy. During this time, Jason tries to call Katie and discovers that her phone is with that police officer. Before Jason can do anything, the police officer stands behind him with a gun pointed at him. Meanwhile, Katie and Nancy reach a church. The man with the pig mask is none other than the father of this church, and he immediately recognizes them. Then Katie hits him from behind with a stick, knocking him unconscious. Both of them tie him behind the car and drag him towards town. They buy matches and petrol from a shop, sprinkle petrol on him, and burn him alive. We see that the policeman ties Jason to a chair. After some time, he kidnaps two new girls and brings them there. When he starts forcing himself on those girls, Katie and Nancy secretly come in and attack him on the head with a stick, knocking him unconscious. When he regains consciousness, he finds himself tied to a chair and starts apologizing to both of them. After that, Katie starts scaring him by putting only one bullet in the gun and shooting at him one by one. He survives all the shots, so he feels a little scared but smiles. However, in the next second, Katie shoots him and kills him. After this, Katie and Nancy free the two girls present there and ask them to release Jason before they leave. The girls release Jason's ropes and tell him that Katie and Nancy had asked them to do this. Now Jason understands that those two girls are none other than Katie and Nancy. We see Jade and Lucas's mom drinking when she suddenly starts feeling strange intoxication and falls unconscious. When she regains consciousness, Katie and Nancy have tied her to a chair in the basement while also tying Jade right in front of her. After this, Katie and Nancy hit Jade with a stick, making him fall down in front of his mother's eyes. They then beat her to death, causing her to go into shock. His mother starts crying loudly, after which they take her to Lucas. They give Lucas a stick and ask him to kill his mother while threatening him that if he does not comply, they will shoot him. However, Lucas is unable to do it. Thus, Nancy shoots him with a gun and kills him. After this, she cleans the same gun and gives it to Lucas's mother so that the police think both mother and son have died fighting each other. Lucas's mother then begs Katie and Nancy not to kill her, offering them a lot of money since she has plenty of it. However, after listening to her plea, Katie and Nancy laugh heartily before brutally cutting off her head with a cutting machine. A few days later, Uncle Jason goes to Katie and Nancy's house and takes them back with him again from New York. The movie ends here showing the scene. So friends, if you have watched the video till here, then thank you very much. Do not forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.